Hello, Slicey Dicers. Today we have another knife review for you. Today we have the Zero Tolerance 0609, a knife I was very excited to get my hands on. This is an R.J. Martin design. It is a scaled down version, more EDC-sized version of the old 0606 CF, also designed by R.J. Martin and made by Zero Tolerance. That was a much larger, more kind of complicated design, but it still has a lot of R.J. Martin touches on this smaller version. We still have the see-through pivot, hence the catchy name, because you can see through it. You can see right through it there. We'll talk more about that shortly. You've got bronze scales, full titanium, frame lock folder, flipper, 20 CV steel. Zero Tolerance is going to that in a lot of their stuff now, and I'm very happy about that. Again, something we'll get more to on later. Very cool design, and one that I was quite happy about. I was looking for a more EDC titanium flipper, and this definitely fits the bill. I really do like this. I've only had this for a little less than a week, but I've used it every single day quite a bit since I've gotten it. I feel like I know enough now to do the initial review. There will be a longer term review sometime later on, because I don't think this thing's going anywhere anytime soon. Very cool knife. Let's get on to some specs and stuff before I start raving about this. I do have a few issues with it. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty cool knife. You have an overall length of 7.4 inches, blade length of 3.4 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.12, so pretty thin, especially for a Zero Tolerance. Handle thickness of 0.46 inches, and they claim the weight to be 3.3 ounces. On my scale, I got 3.6, but irregardless, still pretty lightweight knife. They could have done something to lighten it up a little bit. That's one of the only complaints I have about it, and I guess it's a good time to talk about it. The scales and the handles, whatever you want to call them, are not milled out at all. I think they could have done that and saved a little bit more weight. Probably would have made it a little bit more expensive, which leads me to one of the best things about this knife. It's $220, which is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but USA made titanium scales, 20 CV steel. Not bad at all, really. Pretty good price. I will say that is the price for the knife. You also have to get a tool to open it. That tool, at the time that the knife came out, was not available, and it still isn't. I've got it on pre-order. I don't mind paying the extra $16 to get the tool. That's pretty reasonably priced, and I'm not a fan of proprietary stuff, but this is kind of cool, so that doesn't bother me much. I just wish that they would have either made the knife $235 and included the tool, or at least not released the knife till the tool was out. But that's just me. So I can't talk anything about the internals of this because I can't get it apart yet. So once I can, you'll get a longer term, probably 3-month review or something like that, because I'm going to be carrying this thing a whole lot. Let's do some size comparisons real quick before we move on. We're looking at, compared to Spyderco Delica 4, it's obviously just a little bit bigger than that. We have the steel wheel cut jack M390. Pretty similar overall length to that. This is a little thinner, but pretty overall similar length. We have the Ontario Rat Model 1. It's a little smaller than that. It's a pretty good sized knife. And two more. We'll do the Wii Ignition, because this is a knife that also fits in that nice flipper EDC category. This is a significantly cheaper knife, but it's like, I think, $120, something like that. And lastly, for consistency's sake, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So yeah, this is an interesting one to compare it to, and why I saved it for last. This is a smaller overall knife and blade combination than the Paramilitary 2, but if you line up the pivots, this has, the blade is just a hair shorter, but much more usable cutting length. So they put a pretty good size. It's a 3.4 inch blade, but you're getting all but like a 1/4 inch of that in usable cutting length. So that's pretty cool. So it's a pretty good sized blade crammed into a very compact package. Let's talk next about that blade. I will say I have had some, I'm not going to say issues, but the same problem that everybody has with Zero Tolerances. A lot of them are very thick behind the edge. This is not. It was 24 thousandths behind the edge. Very sharp out of the box. Very even grind. And it's 20 CV steel, which is awesome. But I have to say, this was probably one of the best sharpened knives that I've ever gotten out of the box. It was excellent. And ZT's got pretty good tolerances, so hence it's even in their name. I imagine others will be just as good. Very great blade right out of the box. Super great slicer. As I said, it is a flat grind, but it is a fairly thin. Fairly thin in its maximum thickness. I like all these swedges. The tip is pretty robust, and it slices great. You've got, it looks like it has a tick of a recurve to it, like just right here back towards the sharpening choil, just a little bit, but I put it on a flat surface and I couldn't see light going unevenly through it, so maybe not. But anywho, that'll come off. If you don't like the tiny bit of a recurve, that'll be gone the first 2 or 3 times you sharpen it probably anyway. If it's there, it's so slight. I'm not even 100% positive it's there at all, but other people have mentioned it too, so. All right, let's talk about just how this thing looks. I went to the blade first because I'm so impressed with it, and I was also very impressed with the looks of it. It's really pretty. I was, as I said before, unsure about the bronze. I'm a boring person, but it looks awesome. It's very even. There's no weird... this is titanium that's anodized bronze. It's obviously not real bronze. That would be a terrible thing to make a knife out of. But yeah, it's beautiful. I like that bronzing. These little chevron patterns don't bother me. They look more subtle in person than they do in pictures. I like even that. I think this is a nice touch. They did something with the screws back here. Are kind of, they're not fully bronzed, but they are a little bit. I like that. Thought that was a very nice touch. Even the pocket clip side looks really good. The shininess on the pivot matches the blade really well. You've got a stone wash on the flats, and the rest is all satin. I think it looks beautiful. I really like the looks of it. It goes just intense enough that you know it's a zero tolerance without going over the top crazy. So, like I don't have the package out here. I should have brought it out for the review. I did it. There's an unboxing video back there, but they put those crazy slogans on their boxes. A real beast, and proudly overbuilt in the USA, and they make some crazy stuff, and that's what you expect from them. But this is actually just a really good EDC looking, knife. It doesn't look particularly nuts. It looks flashy, but not nuts. And I do like that about it. I think they hit right in the middle, right where they should have with the overall aesthetics of it. Quality wise, also, it's a zero tolerance. I've never had any problems with quality with zero tolerance. This one is no exception. Blade centering's perfect, which is good since I can't adjust the pivot. Nice and smooth. Yeah, the screw qualities I did remove this, or loosened up the screws that I could and put them back in just to kind of check to see the quality of the screws. They seem really good. No danger of those stripping out or anything like that. Yeah. I guess the only aesthetic quality thing I would say is I think that this is kind of pointless. You can flip the clip to the other side, but it's a frame lock, and if you're a lefty, I don't think you're going to be buying frame locks, and it would look a little prettier if that just wasn't there. That's the really only aesthetic flaw I have with it, I guess. Ergonomically, it's also very, very good. In my hand, anyway, I have a large size glove hand with skinny fingers, and this fits me perfectly. Fits me very, very, very well. No hot spots whatsoever. No matter how hard I squeeze it, I can't feel that clip being back there at all. The chevron-y pattern does give you some more grip, as does this jimping. It's pretty mild jimping. It's a very unique shape jimping. I hope the camera's getting this, but it kind of goes backwards. I think that's kind of neat. But it works, because that's the way you want it going when you're going forward, and it's not sharp either. I can rub my finger on that, and it doesn't hurt, but yet it will hold my finger in place. I also really like this indentation on the blade for your finger, this little thumb stop. That works great for fine detail stuff, which I've done a lot with this knife, actually. I've actually been using it a lot for that kind of stuff because it's just so freaking sharp. So, yeah, I really, really do like it ergonomically. I will say it does have finger grooves, so it may not fit everyone exactly the same, but it works really well for me, even in reverse grip or a draw grip, which I don't see myself using this knife like that very much, but it's there. It does work. Ergonomically, very good. Carry, also very good. The pocket clip is not Not a deep carry clip, which I usually rant about, but there's not much sticking out, and what is bronze. It's a pretty neutral color. This isn't like a shiny bronze, so it's not going to be noticeable in your pocket much at all. It's thin, 0.46 inches, like I said. It's light, 3.6 ounces. It does have a flipper tab sticking out, but it's not, there's a little jimping on the flipper tab, but it's not even remote. There's nothing sharp about it. It's very, very smooth, and it's pretty small, and the clip is angled to where you don't really notice it. I was able to carry my wallet and this in the same pocket with no issues whatsoever. It carries very, very well. And another little thing about the clip I think is really cool, and it just shows kind of the attention to detail on this, and I hope this is going to be visible on the camera, but it looks like that when you first look at it like this, it looks like that pocket clip is sitting on the lock bar, which is a pain in the butt. I know I hate that about my Sebenza, because if you're squeezing the knife wrong when you go to flip it open, you're putting tension on it, and it doesn't work. But if you look closely, it doesn't. It just kisses the frame when you compress on it. Just enough that it won't touch that lock bar. That's pretty cool. That's just a nice little design touch that I noticed that I thought was great. And I'm perfectly happy with the clip. It's zero tolerance. They may make a deep carry for it someday, but I don't want it unless it touches like this one does, because I just think that's really cool. Now, the deployment rockets out. Totally shoots out. I do love that about it. The detent is strong. It's pretty good. That's one of the only other flaws I have with it. The detent is really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to complain too much, but I wish it was 10% less. That's it. Maybe even 5% less. And not so much in deploying it. The flipper is a good length. It rockets out. But when you close it, you do kind of have to push past that detent for a second when you're closing it. Past the detent ball. But it is breaking in a little bit over this week, but I think it's kind of leveled out now to that's as good as it's going to get. So you do have to push it. It's going pretty smooth now, but you do have to put more effort on that lock bar than I usually do. Tiny little thing. Like I said, 10%. Not a big deal, but I got to find something to complain about, right, guys? I mean, I have to. It's really good. Have I missed anything on here? All right. My conclusion is this is a keeper for absolute sure. I actually bought this for myself, not just for review. I agonized, and then Dr. Frunky did an unboxing video, and that was my final straw, and I got it. And it fits exactly what I want it to be. It's a very good EDC, high-end, smooth action flipper. It's USA made if you care about that. And even if you include the price of the tool, $236, I think it's a pretty good value. I think it's an absolute winner. And I'm going to go on a limb and say I've only owned an 0801 ZT and an 0450 ZT. They both got sold in pretty short order. But I've handled a whole lot of ZTs. This is by far my favorite. It's a great knife. I would highly recommend it. They released some other models at SHOT Show that got more attention. I think people should be paying more attention to this one. I think it's the best of the three that they released. It's very, very cool. I hope you guys follow suit with me and get it. I do want to give a shout out to Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It is still available on that site. Last I looked, which I think was last night. They got it to me very, very quickly. It is sold out a whole lot of places. I know some pre-order people are still waiting on theirs. But great knife from Zero Tolerance. Very good job. I applaud you. I very much like it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and learned something. And look, in 3 or 4 months, we'll do a long-term review of it also. So have a good one.